Treasures of biodiversity sunrise in the heart of the Amazon was a spectacle in itself. The sky gradually turned orange and pink as the forest awoke to a chorus of birds, monkeys, and other sounds that Raphael had never heard before. He felt that every noise was a message, every song a celebration of life. After a simple breakfast of fresh fruit and manioc, the group set off on a trail led by Antonio, the experienced guide who seemed to know every leaf and root in the forest. Donna Iracema accompanied them, watching in silence, as if listening to the very soul of the forest. "Today you will understand why the Amazon is called the lung of the world," said Antonio, as he cut branches to open a passage. Raphael was enchanted by what he saw. Gigantic trees, like the samaumas, stood like living cathedrals, with roots so wide they could hide an entire person. Vines hung down like silk threads, connecting the floors of the forest in an invisible web of life. "Did you know that the forest creates its own rain?" Antonio explained. "The trees release so much moisture that they help form clouds, which then return as rain. Without this forest, the entire planet's climate would change." They stopped in front of an imposing chestnut tree. Iracema asked for silence and put her hand on the trunk. "This tree is over 500 years old. It was here before our ancestors met the white man. It has seen time pass and is still standing." While exploring, the group came across some incredible creatures. A flock of spider monkeys swayed among the trees, and Raphael managed to spot a giant anteater looking for ants among fallen leaves. A blue butterfly, bigger than the palm of his hand, landed briefly on his shoulder, as if to welcome him. "Look there!" exclaimed one of the researchers, pointing upwards. Everyone looked and saw a small bird with reddish plumage, singing in notes that seemed magical. "It's the Uirapuru," said Iracema with a smile. "The people here say that its song is so beautiful that it silences the whole forest to listen. It's rare, but when it appears, it brings good luck." Raphael felt a shiver of admiration. He began to understand that the biodiversity of the Amazon wasn't just a collection of species, it was an interconnected system where each life had its role to play. Halfway through the walk, Antonio showed him a vine and cut off a piece. "This is the water liana. When we're lost, it gives us water. The forest always takes care of those who respect it." Raphael tried it and was surprised by the purity and freshness of the liquid. But it wasn't all enchantment. The expedition's biologist, Dr. Cayo, explained that many of these species were threatened. The Amazon loses thousands of hectares every year to deforestation. With every piece destroyed, we don't just lose trees. We lose knowledge, medicines we'll never discover, and the chance to understand life in a deeper way. The afternoon arrived with a heavy sky, heralding rain. The group returned to the camp, where they set up a small tent to discuss the day's discoveries. Raphael, overcome with emotion, began to write everything down in his diary, as if each detail were a piece of a puzzle that he needed to keep. As the first drops of rain fell, he looked at the green horizon and whispered to himself, "How could anyone destroy this?" The Amazon was not just a treasure of Brazil. It was a treasure of the whole world, river life. The boat drifted slowly along the Rio Negro, cutting through the calm waters as the sun illuminated the banks of the forest. After hours of travel, Raphael spotted a small riverside community. Wooden houses on stilts lined the riverbank, connected by makeshift footbridges. Canoes rested on the banks, and children ran around barefoot, laughing and waving to the group. "Welcome to Vila Sol das Águas," said Antonio, as the boat pulled into the small harbor. The group was greeted with warm hospitality. The curious locals watched the visitors as the women prepared tapioca and fish cakes to share. Raphael was enchanted by the simplicity and beauty of life there. Donna Iracema introduced Raphael to Maria, a teacher who taught in a small community school made of wooden planks. Maria was about 35 years old, with sparkling eyes and contagious energy. "The school isn't just for teaching letters and numbers," Maria explained as she showed us around. We also teach the children to respect the forest and understand how it sustains our lives. Raphael sat down with some of the children who showed notebooks full of drawings. There were trees, animals, and even the pink dolphin, which Raphael had heard of before. A girl called Julia, just 8 years old, explained, "My mother says that if we take care of the forest, it will take care of us. But sometimes the big men come and cut down the trees." The girl's words made Raphael think. He realized that for the river dwellers, the forest wasn't just a place, it was the basis of everything: sustenance, shelter, and culture. Later, Maria invited the group to learn about the community's fishing techniques. They accompanied a fisherman called Seu Elias, who explained how they used handmade nets and respected the fish's reproduction cycles. "If we catch everything today, there won't be any more tomorrow," he said wisely. "Nature gives us what we need, but only if we know how to wait." Raphael tried to help him with the nets, but quickly realized that the task was more difficult than it seemed. He admired the skill of Seu Elias, who moved his hands with precision and experience. In the evening, the community organized a small celebration. Children sang traditional songs, while the adults told stories and shared the lovingly prepared food. Raphael felt genuine joy, a rare feeling in his urban life. "You live such a rich life," Raphael said to Maria as he watched the stars reflected in the river. Maria smiled, but her eyes carried a shadow of concern. "It's rich, yes, but also fragile. When deforestation advances, the forest gets sick, and we suffer. The river becomes polluted, the fish disappear, and our lives are threatened." Raphael realized that the simplicity of that life hid great challenges. Despite everything, the river dwellers resisted, protecting the forest and their culture with a determination that he found inspiring. Before going to sleep, he walked down to the river and looked at the dark waters, which seemed endless. Maria's words echoed in his mind. The river dwellers' connection with the forest was something he was still beginning to understand. That night, Raphael promised himself that he would do everything in his power to protect that life that was so rich and yet so vulnerable: the green gold. The morning came with a gentle breeze and the rhythmic sound of improvised drums in the village. The group was preparing to leave the riverside community for their next destination, a sustainable management cooperative, where the villagers worked with Brazil nuts and acai. Raphael was excited. Until then, he had only known acai as a popular dessert in the city, but now he would see up close how the fruit was harvested and processed. Antonio led the walk, explaining how these sustainable activities were helping to protect the forest while offering an alternative to deforestation and illegal mining. After a few hours navigating the river and walking through the forest, they arrived at the cooperative, located in a clearing surrounded by towering Brazil nut trees. Men and women worked in harmony, harvesting the fruit, shelling the nuts, and organizing the lots for transport. A woman called Joanna, the cooperative's leader, welcomed the group with enthusiasm. "Welcome. Here, what the forest gives us, we give back by taking care of it," said Joanna as she showed them around. Raphael watched the work attentively. Each nut collected by hand was a symbol of resistance and sustainability. Joanna explained that the process was entirely based on sustainable management practices, ensuring that the trees would continue to produce for generations. "This is more than just a product," she said, holding up a bag of chestnuts. "It's the future of our families and the forest." Afterwards, the group was taken to an area where the acai was processed. Raphael saw men climbing the tall palm trees with impressive skill, using simple ropes and bare feet. The fruit was removed in bunches, carefully carried to an area where it was washed and crushed into the well-known pulp. As they watched, Donna Irachema explained, "Acai is called black gold around here. It's not just food, it's also a source of income for thousands of families. But like everything else, it needs to be harvested with respect. If they take it all at once, they'll destroy the land and the forest." Joanna, however, warned of the challenges facing the cooperative. We're always fighting mining and deforestation. They offer quick money, but the price is high. The land is destroyed, the rivers contaminated. That's why we teach our young people to value what the forest gives, without destroying it. Raphael listened in silence. He understood that the cooperative's work was a powerful example of how the forest could be a source of wealth without being devastated. However, he knew that the model still faced resistance and a lack of support. At the end of the visit, Joanna gave the group a basket of chestnuts and acai pulp, a gesture of thanks and hope. Take this and show the world that it's possible to live off the forest without destroying it. Back at the camp, Raphael reflected on everything he had learned that day. He thought about the contrast between the cooperative's careful work and the devastating practices he had seen in reports about deforestation. The forest was indeed a gold mine, but the real treasure wasn't buried in the soil. It was in the trees, in the fruit, and in the hands of those who understood that the Amazon didn't need to be exploited to be valuable. That night, Raphael wrote in his diary, "The richness of the Amazon is not in what we can take from it, but in what we can learn from living in harmony with it." These people are not just guardians of the forest. They are examples of how we can build a sustainable future.